You know that one friend who always cancels plans? The one who is suddenly sick again, tired again, or texting maybe next time, right as everyone is putting their coats on. Society doesn't look kindly on this behavior. We live in an era that aggressively markets the live your best life culture. The party pictures, the influencer lifestyle, the constant pressure to be out in the world. If you prefer a Friday night in your pajamas over a crowded venue, the culture quickly labels you as lazy, boring, or somehow broken. But that friend isn't avoiding you. They are protecting something. Turning down an invitation is rarely a rejection of a friendship. It is a strict boundary set to preserve their own mental energy. While culture calls this behavior antisocial, science views it as a matter of biological wiring. This preference for the couch over the club comes down to how a person's nervous system is physically structured to handle external stimuli. Choosing a quiet night indoors over the chaos of a public space is a completely valid lifestyle. It inherently challenges our social expectations precisely because it operates on a different biological battery. Think about how we recharge. Extroverts draw their energy from external friction, the noise, the movement, the literal chaos of a room full of people. But introverts, and those who thrive in solitude, draw their power from absolute stillness. This optimal arousal theory chart maps the stimulation a nervous system needs. On the left, extroverts require high external input to feel good. On the right, the exact same inputs slowly drain an introvert's battery. Home is their only working charger. Out in public, the world is wildly unpredictable. You have to navigate loud strangers, last-minute changes, and forced small talk. But inside your own space, you dictate the variables. You control the lighting, the volume, and the pacing of your evening. For someone with high sensory sensitivity or baseline anxiety, setting the thermostat and dimming the lights is a biological survival mechanism against an overwhelming world. Once that energy is restored, we have to look at where it goes. Solitude is not an empty state of doing nothing. In highly stimulating environments, your attention is fragmented across dozens of external distractions. When you are alone, that attention turns inward, allowing for deep, uninterrupted introspection. Recent studies consistently show a link between intentional isolation and cognitive advantages. People who seek out solitude score higher in complex problem-solving and demonstrate elevated levels of original creativity. The most innovative concepts rarely emerge from a loud brainstorming session in a crowded room. They usually surface in a quiet corner with a book, or during an uninterrupted thought spiral at 2 in the morning. A weekend spent largely in silence is an active, necessary incubation period for the brain. It is where your best thoughts are actually built. However, we have to evaluate the specific reasons driving this isolation. There is a strict boundary between retreating to find peace and retreating to hide. Psychologists label the healthy version of this behavior as low stimulation preference. These individuals possess a rich, self-sustaining inner world. They quite literally do not need the outside world to entertain them. But some people stay home for entirely different reasons. Severe social anxiety, unhealed past trauma, and chronic stress can make the outside world feel physically threatening. Depression often masquerades as a simple preference for staying in, quietly whispering to you, "What's the point of going out?" When this happens, the home stops being a restorative environment and becomes a restrictive trap. The diagnostic question you have to ask yourself is this: does staying home fill you up with a sense of calm, or does the physical act of leaving your house feel impossibly heavy? Because one is peace, and the other is hiding. True self-awareness means knowing exactly which of those motives is locking your front door. If you fall into the healthy category, if your home is a genuine sanctuary, your lifestyle requires no apologies. You find your joy in micro-rituals that high-stimulation seekers rush right past. The exact steps of a morning coffee routine, a favorite corner of the couch, or simply noticing how the light hits your living room at sunset. Turning down an invitation without an ounce of guilt is an indicator of psychological maturity. It shows you value internal depth over the pressure to perform for an audience. If you would rather re-watch a comfort show than exhaust yourself making memories at a crowded venue, you are not missing out on life. You're simply experiencing a quieter, deeply peaceful version of it. Tell me in the comments, do you stay home because it genuinely recharges you, or is there a part of you that is avoiding the world? And if you want to explore the psychology behind your daily habits that nobody else talks about, click the next video on your screen. You will finally understand why you do the things you do.